Welcome back to the Popcorn Conspiracy on CentralCoastRadio.com. Now I want to take a look at a film that is very, very hard to watch, I must admit. The film is called EO, and you may have heard that name because it was actually nominated for the Best International Feature Film at the Oscars this year. Now, why is this such a hard film to watch? Well, this film basically centers around the life of a donkey called EO, and it has a little bit of a Lassie Come Home feel to it in that at the start of this film, EO finds themselves separated from their owner, Cassandra, played by Sandra Dramalaska, after the circus that she works for goes into bankruptcy and EO is confiscated as part of the liquidation process. Now, from there, EO's life becomes a time of ups and downs. At one time, they find themselves at a horse stud. Things go wrong there. So they're sold again. They find themselves at a farm that caters for disabled children. But after an event there, EO finds themselves wandering. Now, why this is such a hard film to watch is because the writers Iwa Pasowski and Jerzy Skolimowski, who also directs, wants to make a point with this film. They want to make a point about how humanity treats animals. And it's not always in a nice fashion. There are some pretty nasty scenes in EO. This is a film I know that a lot of animal lovers have really wanted to go along and watch. And as an animal lover myself, I don't know how I feel about this film. On one hand, I got fairly upset while I was watching the film with some of the scenes and seeing what humanity can do to an animal. At the same time, I also see the importance of this film because I think it's important for people to go on and watch this film and see what happens to animals. And that's why I'm kind of torn with this film. The other thing too that makes this film kind of a hard watch is it's very, very experimental. There are a lot of scenes in this film where I thought the film was mainly going to be from EO's point of view, which the film is, but there are a lot of scenes in there that are deeply, deeply experimental. They're like watching a Jim Stamatakos film. They're far more experimental than what most people would come across in their everyday film life. I think they are moments though where you can stop and reflect on what's been happening in the film, but I think they are scenes that could potentially alienate people from watching this film as well. Of course, I was never expecting to go into this film and having it be like Babe or something like that would appeal to the whole family. But yeah, it was an interesting choice by the director because I would have thought they would have wanted as many people to see this film as they possibly could. Whereas I feel like those scenes are kind of would alienate some audiences and might keep some people away from the film. Having said that, though, this film is beautifully shot. It looks just absolutely amazing as you're watching the film and watching Eeyore's journey, and a lot of that comes down to the cinematography by Mikhail Dimick, who does an absolutely amazing job. In fact, I'm surprised that he didn't get an Oscar nomination as well for this film because he does a really, really good job in making this film visually spectacular. You feel guilty sometimes during this film because you're watching a really harsh scene where an animal is getting hurt or something like that, but it just looks visually beautiful and you're kind of sitting there going, wow, that looks amazing, but at the same time your heart is sinking because of what is happening. The story will draw you in. I found myself falling in love with this little donkey so quickly, and I think that's what makes this film even harder to watch at times, is because you do feel an affinity to this donkey. It draws you in. A donkey is a weird choice. Someone said to me after the screening, I'm surprised they didn't choose a dog or a cat or something like that. But I think because it's an animal that you don't get to see every day, it has an even bigger impact on you what happens throughout the life of EO. So, look, I do recommend this film. I think it has a very, very important message with the film. I think the experimental nature sometimes trips it up, but it still looks amazing. But this is a film that I think a lot of people should approach with a lot of caution. There are a lot of scenes in there that, if you're an animal lover, are going to be very, very tough to watch. At the same time, like I said earlier, this is a film that has a very important message, and it gets that across in a really, really amazing way. I'm going to give this one 3.5 out of 5. I do think that the film perhaps could have worked a little bit better if it had stepped away from the experimental nature of some of the scenes. But look, it's still a film that's got a very, very important message to get across to people. So go along and see it. Make up your own mind. It does have a limited release, so make sure you check your local cinema guides. I'm giving EO 3.5 out of 5. You're listening to The Popcorn Conspiracy on CentralCoastRadio.com, and we'll be back in just a moment.